Hello everyone, my name is Bram Hulseboom and in this video I want to talk about time. Time is something special. We work with it every day. We wonder about our future or dwell on our past. And whether you like it or not, time has its effect on us all. Scientists have given the subject time a lot of thought. They have often struggled with its properties. One very famous scientist called Albert Einstein suggested that time and space affect each other in our cosmos. In this video I will offer you a new perspective on time. It can help you understand time better. With the new insights we can start thinking differently about interesting questions like if it would be possible to travel through time, or how it is possible that we are able to experience time in different ways. The conclusion in this video is that time does not actually exist. It may sound evenly simple as weird, but let me explain to you why this is likely to be true. But before we talk about time, let me tell you something about ourselves. When we have a look at our history as a species, it becomes clear that we have always tried to make sense of the world around us. We try to explain what we are seeing and experiencing. We talk to each other about it and make a common understanding or agreement about the things we see and experience. We did this 150,000 years ago and we are still doing it to this very day. In our quest for understanding the world around us, we have a tendency to believe what works for us. In many cases, we are more likely to believe an idea that we can benefit from instead of believing an idea purely based on logic. This tendency of believing things that are in our own interest is not wrong. It works really well for us in many cases. But the awareness that we are doing this can give you new insights or ideas. Let me give you an example. The early Greeks believed that lightning was a manifestation of the gods. The people that lived then and there thought that it was a weapon used by the god Zeus. They agreed upon the idea that a god who no one had ever seen was responsible for the creations of the recurring lightnings in the sky. We now know that lightning is a natural phenomenon, an electric current created by the collisions of many small pieces of ice inside of a thunderstorm. That the early Greeks who lived roughly 2,700 years ago thought that it was Zeus who threw the lightning from the sky had its benefits. It provided an explanation for why the lightning was there. At the time, the statement fitted into the Greek mindset in which gods played an important role in their lives. Moreover, explaining something can provide comfort to a certain extent, even when the explanation doesn't match with how things are in reality. The explanation that the ancient Greeks used for lightning is no longer used today. It has served its purpose in the past, but with the knowledge we now have, we don't need it anymore. However, the tendency to explain things is an undiminished human quality. When you start looking for it, you will find many examples of beliefs we have because they serve us a purpose. And these beliefs don't necessarily have to be true to be effective. This method of using beliefs to organize and trying to explain the world around us is part of our human nature. We did it in the past, we are doing it today, and it will be a part of humanity in our future. In our long history, we tried to find explanations for many things that we saw or experienced. Lightning was just one of the many matters. Our ancestors also witnessed a lot of things that were moving like the objects they saw in the sky. One of those objects is the sun. Our ancestors saw a repetitive process in which the sun moved in and out of their field of vision. This movement caused an alternation of light and dark. Over time we started to call these movements day and night. We created a system that orders the movements of the sun, the earth and all other objects. We have further developed this system over time. We call the rotation of the earth around the sun a year and the rotation of the Earth on its own axis goes by the name of a day. We have further divided the system into hours, minutes, and seconds. You probably won't think about it every day, but a year, a day, or an hour are all just names for the movements we perceive and experience. The system helps us organize the world around us. Moreover, it is a means by which we can communicate with each other. The system allows us to meet at a very specific time in a year, in a given month, on a given day. This whole system we invented to organize the world around us has a name. We call it time. It is the name we give for all movements that take place within ourselves and around us. It is a name for our human experience for everything that moves. Like lightning that is not made by Zeus, time is not responsible for movement. Lightning strikes without the presence of Zeus, and there is movement without the presence of time. Time is our way of organizing the world around us. It is our jointly accepted concept to interpret our experiences, and it allows us to work amid all those movements. In other words, time is a socially accepted idea that we make good use of every day, but in reality there is only movement. Let me give you an example. In our history we have invented an instrument called a sundial. A sundial casts a shadow on a surface or disk when it is in the light of the sun. We have found sundials in Egypt dating back 3,500 years ago. We are used to saying that the shadow of a sundial indicates time, but in reality the shadow does not represent time. The shadow simply represents the rotation of the Earth relative to the sun. Time is our self-created human system that we add to the movements. Am I already making sense to you? Let me give you another example. Let's say that you want to meet with somebody of your choosing next week in Amsterdam. What you are used to doing is determining the details of your appointment in terms of time. So, for example, you agree that you will be meeting each other next week on a Saturday in Amsterdam at 8 o'clock in the evening on this bridge. The details of the appointment in terms of time actually say something about movement. The day Saturday determines how many times the Earth must rotate on its own axis before you meet. The time 8 o'clock in the evening is a more detailed description that says something about the rotation of the Earth. And finally, you two agree to move yourself to the agreed location. So again, time is our human social system to order movement. It helps us to organize our affairs and to arrange encounters with each other. You could also describe your meeting in nothing but terms of movement. But this would be very impractical and require a lot of thinking. Describing the world around us in mere terms of movement is therefore of particular interest to science and the scientists who struggle with time in the line of work. With the insights we now have, the struggle that scientists like physicists have with time suddenly makes perfect sense. Using time in physics formulas is like trying to bake a cake with a stone as one of the ingredients. You are adding something to it that should not be in there. Remove the stone from the ingredients and you can make a cake. Likewise, remove time from the equations and you can describe and understand the cosmos better. If we put time aside and describe the world around us only in terms of movement, we can look with a new perspective at the scientific issues regarding time. Time travel then proves to be impossible because time does not exist. The central question now is what consequences can be measured when people or objects move through the cosmos in different ways. The way in which people experience time has more to do with the social agreements we have made and has thus become a psychological issue. The same can be said about why people can experience time differently. Does this mean we should stop using time? No, we should keep using time. It is a very convenient way to organize the movements around us. It would be unnecessarily complex to describe the world to each other in terms of movement. By adding time in our lives, we understand each other better. But for science, describing the cosmos only in terms of objects and movement relative to each other without time might prove to be a very rewarding challenge. What do you think? Do you think time exists only in our minds and that it is not actually present in the cosmos? Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these ideas.